Hey there and welcome back to the video series. So in the previous video we installed Node.js and we also installed all the dependencies, Express and MongoDB and Mongoose among others, and we got this package JSON file here. So in this video let's try to build our server, a simple server in Express, so we can actually get some response back from the server side. But first, I want to make a small adjustment to my project because I created this main RESTful API with spaces, and I don't think it's going to be a problem, but usually when you are dealing with web applications and software engineering generally, I prefer to have the name without spaces in there. So I'm just going to change the folder here so it has underscores instead. So I'm going to close Visual Studio Code, and I have my Explorer here, and then I'm just gonna right click on the folder and rename, and let's just rename this to man underscore RESTful API. Okay, so then we have it as one word. Shouldn't be a problem when we launch the project, but I just want to be on the safe side here. So rename the project man underscore RESTful underscore API. Cool, so let's open up code again. And let's close the welcome, and let's open the folder again. We haven't changed the code or the package.json file in any way. So let's start by making the server. So as we told npm init that the main file in this project is called server.js because we are creating what I would term as a server, because it is serving the RESTful API based on the data it gets from the database. So let's create a new file called server.js. So this is going to be our main file that will host the RESTful API. So first of all, we're going to need some dependencies that we installed. So we're gonna first we're gonna import Express, and let's just copy this line here because we got Express and we need Mongoose as well. We also need the body parser. So that's just the dependencies that we installed in the previous video here. Okay, and finally we're going to make an app that will be an Express app based on the Express import here we got there. Okay, we also have this .env that allow us to actually manage environment variables. So I'm going to create a file called .env, and that is a more or less standardized way to keep environment variables, and this will allow us to have a lot of different settings in here. And we have the port, that is one of them. What port should our REST API run at? And I'm just saying 4000 here. Could also be another port, but right now I'm just saying it's 4000. So in order to make this env work, we will have to import it, of course. So the way we do this is that we also require .env flow. You can see Visual Studio Code helps me a bit here because I already have it in my Node modules. So I'm just going to say config, and this will look for a .env file in my project. So it's going to import the port setting here. Okay. And I'm just going to open up a terminal so we have this as well. Okay, so in order for this to work, this basic server, we need to first we need to actually use this app here. We've created an Express app, and there's going to be a lot of different settings in here, routes and all that stuff. But just to keep it short in the beginning here, let's start by typing app.listen. And then we will listen to this port that we had before. And an easy way to actually import the port is to make a constant here and saying that we want to get the port setting from process.env, and then we have the port. So this will be the setting that we have in the env file. And if we don't have any setting, it's going to default to 4000. Okay, so this will allow me to change the port in here, and if something goes wrong with the env file, it will look for, or it will run on port 4000 if there is no setting in here. Okay, so we're going to listen for that. I'm just going to write port here, and then we're going to make a function for that, just to see if we can actually get an output here. So I'm going to write server is listening, or no, it's running on port, and then just the port. Right, so finally we will do module exports. Yep, so we're going to export our app here as a module here. So let's see, now we have defined our dependencies, and we have also configured the .env, so we will import the port setting, and then we have started the server. It should be running on port 4000, and then we will basically print out a console log. Okay, so the way that we start this server here now on localhost is that we have this this main here, and the way that we can launch it is by running npm, and we can do start, and let's see what happened there. So now we see that the server is running on port 4000. So it says node server.js. So node.js is actually running our JavaScript file here. If we head over to a browser to see what is going on here, we can do localhost 4000, and we can see that we actually get some output from the server. The reason why it says cannot get / is because we haven't defined any basic route. This is the root route there, so we haven't defined anything, but our server is actually running, because if we shut down the server in here like this, so now the server is not running anymore. If I refresh my page now, you can see I get an error from the browser that we cannot reach the site. So we indeed had a server up and running. Awesome there. So that is basically the setup of our little server here. And as I wrote before here, the route, we will be making a lot of different routes, because we need to expose some different routes to the user, so we can use this in PostMan or Insomnia to test our RESTful API. And we also need to connect to the database, of course. All right, but I hope you make this work and have fun with this. Bye-bye.